A growing search for a missing Florida woman zeroes in on Utah tonight.
I'm a 42-year-old grown man begging for your help.
New at 9, how these pictures of a mural in Ogden may hold vital clues for investigators.
An overflow homeless shelter is approved by the state here in the middle of a neighborhood already overwhelmed with problems.
Our concern is that the shelter would present, a magnet for encampments.
Tonight, new concerns are being brought to lawmakers as the community pushes to be heard.
A nice day here across the state, but big changes are coming. A major cool down and a chance for snow. I'll let you know where.
This stable behind me is not your average farm. It's actually property owned and operated by the Utah County Sheriff's Office. We'll tell you what they're doing. That's Positively Utah coming up.
Developing tonight as the search for a missing Florida woman continues, Moab police have just confirmed to Fox 13 News their officers responded to an incident involving Gabby Petito and her fiancé on August 12th.
Police say it was a third party who called them. It's just the latest in the search for the 22-year-old who was reported missing over the weekend. Gabby Petito was on a cross-country road trip with her fiancé, Brian Laundrie, who returned to Florida alone and has reportedly retained a lawyer.
In a statement to Fox News, a lawyer for the Laundrie family says a search for Gabby has been organized near or in the Grand Teton National Park in Wyoming.
And tonight, Fox 13 News has learned an Ogden business may be able to offer more clues to investigators.
Fox 13's John Franke is in Ogden tonight at a site where Petito shared photos on social media. John.
Well, guys, the couple shared their travels all over social media. So check out this butterfly mural behind me. It is distinctive, it is vibrant. It also appears in the background of the final post made to Petito's Instagram account some 3 weeks ago.
Now we're all the way in Utah, and luckily enough, I was able to set up my hammock in one of these trees.
And we're kind of like in the desert.
Very few trees.
A YouTube video shows us Gabby Petito and her fiancé Brian Laundrie were here in Utah. This is their van driving through the salt flats, and they experienced the summer thunderstorms.
The tent is just coming in on me. The wind is so bad.
That video was uploaded on August 19th, 6 days before this photo was posted to Gabby's Instagram. The caption reads, "Happy Halloween." Today, the Monarch confirmed those photos were taken in front of the store's butterfly mural. A spokesperson confirmed to me the Monarch is searching through their surveillance footage and working with the FBI, looking for any glimpse of the young woman who has seemingly vanished without a trace.
At least 3 times a week, we would FaceTime, call, text frequently. She kept me updated on this whole trip.
Her mother and father are agonizing, not knowing where she is. The last time they heard from her was August 25th. The same day these photos were uploaded.
I'm a 42-year-old grown man begging for your help.
Now some of that help is coming from this corner of Ogden. We don't know if the surveillance video will uncover any clues, but it could be one piece of this investigation now focused on the Mountain West. And the FBI was unable to confirm whether they are working with the Monarch here. They referred me to the Northport Police Department, the lead agency in this case. A spokesperson there has not responded to my request for comment. Reporting live in Ogden tonight, John Franke, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Just into the Fox 13 newsroom, Salt Lake City Council members have voted to extend Mayor Aaron Mendenhall's emergency order requiring masks in the Salt Lake City School District for 30 more days. Members passed the extension on a 6-to-1 vote. The mayor's order has allowed the Salt Lake City School District to have the lowest rate of COVID-19 cases throughout the 5 districts in Salt Lake County. Salt Lake City Council members will reconsider the order during their October 12th meeting.
In Washington today, Utah Senators Mike Lee and Mitt Romney paid tribute to the service members hurt and killed in last month's terror attack near the airport in Kabul, Afghanistan. Marine Staff Sergeant Taylor Hoover of Sandy was among the 13 service members killed. Marine Corporal Wyatt Wilson of Carbon County sustained life-threatening injuries in the attack.
You and your brothers and sisters in arms have answered the call to serve with valor and devotion, and your service rendered continues to protect us to this day.
Staff Sergeant Hoover leaves a legacy with his family, the state of Utah, and our nation. He represents the best among us. The commitment of a service member and a Marine, his dedication to the values of the Marine Corps, and full-fledged devotion to what is right will remain with us forever.
The cities of Sandy and Midvale, along with the Canyons School District, will hold a memorial service for Staff Sergeant Hoover this Saturday night at the Hillcrest High School football field. The service will begin at 6:30.
Staying in Washington, Secretary of State Antony Blinken faced a second day of questioning from the Senate Foreign Relations Committee over America's exit from Afghanistan. Secretary of State Blinken once again defended the Biden administration's decision to leave the country, maintaining that intelligence reports did not foresee the quick takeover of the Taliban.
Even the most pessimistic assessments did not predict that the government forces in Kabul would collapse.
We should have known that as we began to draw down support, we were going to see the potential for a collapse.
Senators also grilled Blinken on security threats and whether the Taliban has cut off ties with terrorist groups like al-Qaeda. The chairman of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee has also called for Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin to testify as well and may subpoena him to do so.
A proposal to buy a detox center in the Ballpark neighborhood of Salt Lake City and turn it into an overflow homeless shelter is moving forward tonight.
Fox 13's Lauren Steinbrecher is live at the Utah State Capitol to explain why some aren't on board with this proposal. Lauren.
Yeah, Kelly, and the people who are not on board include state legislators like the entire Senate Democrat caucus came out with a statement today saying that, yes, all of the procedures and policies were followed when it came to how this all came about, but some people in the community say that doesn't mean it was fair. State legislators listened to the explanation why.
All the things that they reviewed as a system, this they thought was the most important and rose to the top.
Why a number of state and community agencies agree that spending $3 million so the nonprofit Shelter the Homeless can purchase the Volunteers of America Detox Center and turn it into an overflow shelter in the Ballpark area is the way to go. It's similar to its current use, close to transportation services, and will allow the VOA to expand, advocates say. The Salt Lake Valley Coalition to End Homelessness went through a whole process to arrive at this conclusion.
From detox to shelter to permanent supportive housing, and they determined what is best for the system. And so when they brought their proposal to us, we knew this was a substantive proposal. It came from the coalition.
The State Homelessness Council recently approved, but there's serious concerns from the community.
Our concern is that the shelter would present, a magnet for encampments. That's the primary concern.
George Hauser is working on 2 developments right across the street, 525 units with nearly half affordable housing. This could halt that, he says.
It could kill the project. Our concern is that it'll detract from the housing experience, and that we'll have to suffer lower rents and some additional costs, increased costs for security and other things like that, and that it may tend to make our project infeasible.
Not all legislators were on board at Tuesday's meeting.
We were told that the weight of the issue of homelessness will be better spread across the entire state, so other municipalities can also come and be part of the solution.
But the Executive Appropriations Committee wasn't taking any action. They were only here to listen as the proposal moves forward to the next step in the process. Former Senate President Niederhauser says that next Salt Lake City would have to approve a conditional use permit for the building. So that means there will be public comment. There will be lots of more discussion on this. For Hauser and his development, he says he hopes that he can have a robust interaction with the VOA, with that coalition, and that they can work together moving forward. Live at the state capitol, Lauren Steinbrecher, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Lauren, thank you. Today, Salt Lake City business leaders, along with the Pioneer Park Coalition, called on city and state leaders to clean up the Rio Grande area. Some people calling for change in the area blame Salt Lake City Mayor Erin Mendenhall for the rise of illegal campers in Pioneer Park, which they say has made the park unsafe. Business owners admit it is going to take more than city leaders to make a radical change happen.
The city doesn't have the resources. The county doesn't have the resources. The state does have the resources. But they're not going to spend the resources if they don't trust the city. We got to trust each other and come together with a comprehensive plan.
A spokesperson for Mayor Mendenhall says while the city appreciates the concerns, their frustrations would be better directed at solutions to the statewide homeless issue.
How much did Utah's wildfire season cost taxpayers? Well, a report to the legislature today put the price tag at $30,500,000. Firefighters battled more than 1,000 blazes this year. Statewide, more than 62,000 acres were torched and 16 homes were lost. The majority of wildfires were human-caused. But Utahns, for the most part, did follow fire restrictions.
It's an expensive problem. Thankfully, all that smoke we were receiving from the California wildfires seems to have moved on now, Allison.
Yes, so we still have a little bit of that haze in our upper levels of the atmosphere, but here at the surface, it was a really nice day. Temperature-wise, very comfortable, 75 here in Salt Lake right now. Ogden a little on the cooler side at 68, and for Provo, currently 72 degrees. We have clear sky for Logan, Ogden, Salt Lake down through Lehigh, Provo, into southern Utah, clear sky on this Tuesday night. Here are your temperatures for tomorrow morning as you're waking up along the Wasatch Front. Upper 50s for Salt Lake, down into Utah County, maybe a little bit cooler, but 7 a.m. 58 degrees here in Salt Lake City, 66 at 9 a.m. Here are your top weather headlines. Sunny this week. We have comfortable temperatures. Big changes are coming. I'm tracking a major cool down and a chance for rain and even snow, plus some fire concerns. I'll have the timing of all this coming up.
Coming up on Fox 13 News at 9.
Real criminal justice reform will not occur until we eliminate the death penalty.
3 of Utah's most prominent prosecutors are teaming up to push for an end to capital punishment. The reasons they say the sentence does more harm than good.
Rising case counts of COVID-19 at Syracuse Elementary has triggered a test-to-state protocol. There's always going to be a learning curve. We'll have reaction from parents. Straight ahead.
And they're not your typical sheriff's deputy responsibilities. We'll take a look at the positively Utah reason why some law enforcement officers in Utah County are taking care of livestock.
Hoop Camp came to Utah to help those with special needs, and they got the help from the Utah Jazz. That story coming up in sports.
The prosecuting attorneys of Summit, Utah, and Salt Lake counties are speaking out tonight in support of repealing the death penalty in Utah.
They urge the public and legislators to support the repeal, which has been used to execute more than 50 people since 1850. The attorneys say data shows the death penalty fails to deter crime and was, as they call it, an irreversible sentence within an imperfect justice system.
Real criminal justice reform is what we really need to be focusing on in our legislatures, in our budget hearings, in our policy decisions, because real criminal justice reform will not occur until we eliminate the death penalty.
If you want to read the open letter the attorneys wrote to the governor, as well as the state legislature calling for an end to capital punishment, we have that for you on our website, fox13now.com.
A federal judge has dismissed James Huntsman's high-profile lawsuit against the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints alleging tithing fraud. The brother of former Utah Governor John Huntsman Jr. sued the church, claiming it used his tithing money to build the City Creek Center project in downtown Salt Lake City. The church denies it. But the judge also rejected the church's assertion that the First Amendment barred Huntsman from bringing his lawsuit in the first place.
Bob, voter turnout has increased throughout the years in Utah, but a new ranking puts Utah 39th in the nation for civic engagement. The Utah Foundation says in the last midterm elections in 2018, Utah was ranked 13th, a considerably high ranking. The foundation cited mail-in ballots and less important issues on the ballot as possible reasons. But fast forward to the 2020 election, and Utah's ranking dropped to 39th.
In 2020, it continued to improve for us as a state, but in that broader national picture, turnout was much higher all over the country.
Well, this is the first of 7 reports the Utah Foundation will be doing. In some instances, the Utah County Sheriff's Office has to seize animals and livestock.
Fox 13's Brian Schnee shows us how deputies care for them, nurse them back to health, and get them a second chance at life in a way that is positively Utah.
Depending on the law enforcement agency, duties don't always include flashing lights and crime scenes.
Hey, babies.
Deputy Owen Latham, with the Utah County Sheriff's Office Animal Enforcement Division, spends parts of his workday taking care of livestock.
I get to start my day taking care of the animals, come here for about an hour, feed, water, brush them, take care of them, and so I enjoy it. It's a really good gig. I like it.
The animals come here via seizure by the department, or they're forfeited by people who cannot take care of them.
Right now it's actually real busy, probably because of the cost of hay and things going up. Usually we're not too busy. We maybe have 1 or 2 animals.
Owen and his partner are currently taking care of 2 horses, 3 goats, and 6 cows, which came from a recent seizure with the criminal case still open. When the animals are deemed healthy after some time getting proper nutrition and care, and if they're not part of any ongoing court proceedings, they can be put up for auction to find a good home.
It warms my heart. I guess that's the easiest way to put it. I enjoy it a lot. Like, again, I was talking to my other partner, Kyler Gilstrap, who's the other deputy with me that does this, and we were just yesterday talking about how much the cows and the horses have come along, and it just that satisfaction of seeing those animals get help and not dying and going to good homes.
These 2 horses, Cinnamon and Duke, have been here for a few weeks. They've been packing on the pounds. They actually go up for auction on Wednesday. If you'd like to learn how you can bid, we've got a link on our website, fox13now.com. In Spanish Fork, Brian Schnee, Fox 13 News, Utah.
It was an extremely comfortable day here across our state. Take a look at this. Our smoke analysis here across the country actually showing that Utah is one of the best places to be right now. Of course, we already knew that, but temperatures will be really nice the next few days. We've got great views in the forecast and then a major cool down. Alta Albion Basin tonight, you can see the stars. We've got clear sky, beautiful moon on our camera up in the Cottonwoods, looking so nice up Little Cottonwood. Satellite and radar here across the region. We do have a little bit of a breeze in the forecast for parts of the state this evening, but heading into Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday afternoons, I think you'll notice more of a breeze, especially on Thursday across southern Utah. So we'll have some more fire concerns, but we do have the clear sky. Logan down through Ogden right now into the Salt Lake area. Temperatures currently 72 for Provo, 68 right now for Ogden and Logan, 75 in Salt Lake and St. George. Our temperatures 87 degrees right now. Now tomorrow morning when you wake up here in Salt Lake, it'll be a little on the cooler side, pretty similar to this morning. So if you got up this morning and you're walking with the kids to school, you might have grabbed the sweater. Same thing tomorrow morning. You want to set them out the door first thing tomorrow morning with the light jacket. But as they're walking home tomorrow, they will not need that. So temperatures into the 70s by 10 a.m. and then into the 80s tomorrow afternoon. Storm threat here across the region for tomorrow. It is non-existent here in Utah. Off to our southeast, the chance for some thunderstorms, but we're mostly looking at just comfortable temperatures during our late morning. A little warm in the afternoon. Tomorrow's going to be noticeably warmer by just a few degrees, but it'll bring it closer to upper 80s as opposed to low 80s. And then our overnight temps, so 7 a.m. tomorrow morning. And just a refresher, the coldest time of the day is typically right before that sun rises, just because that's when we have our longest amount of overnight cooling. And that's why we're usually warmer during the afternoon hours because of unless we've got a front moving through all of the daytime heating. But so all that to say, tomorrow morning into the 50s, and this will be about 7 o'clock tomorrow morning. And then tomorrow afternoon, 5 p.m., we'll have those temperatures in the mid to upper 80s for Provo, Salt Lake, Ogden, low 80s for Logan, and St. George close to 100 degrees. Now the fire outlook for tomorrow does bring an elevated concern to the Bear Lake area down through Logan, over towards Evanston, through Rock Springs, up into Idaho. So elevated fire concerns for tomorrow, and then big changes are coming early next week. We're going to see a much noticeable cool down for the northern half of the state. Wind really picks up across the south, and we start tracking the chance for rain and even snow. We'll talk more about that later in the hour, but St. George, you are close to 100 degrees through Thursday. Your cool down next week brings you into the upper 80s. For Salt Lake, our cool down is more pronounced. So this weekend, we'll keep it in the 80s through Sunday, and then we are low 60s early next week. I'll let you know where we could see that snow coming up later in the hour.
Thank you, Allison. He was known as one of Hollywood's greatest comedians with an unmistakable style. Still ahead, we take a look back at the life of Norm Macdonald. In national news, the polls have closed in just the past hour in the recall election of California Governor Gavin Newsom. At last check, Newsom is leading in the polls, but it's still too close to call. His nearest challenger is conservative radio host Larry Elder. If Newsom is recalled, the top vote getter among the 46 challengers becomes governor of California.
Right now, more than 200,000 people still without power in Texas after a strike from Hurricane Nicholas. The storm is now weakened to a tropical depression and is taking aim at the already hard-hit state of Louisiana. For people still living without power weeks after Hurricane Ida, Louisiana's governor says Nicholas may reverse restoration efforts.
Comedian Norm Macdonald, known for his deadpan style and his starring role in Saturday Night Live, has passed away. Macdonald's manager confirmed his death, saying the comic had been battling cancer for the past 9 years. A friend told CNN that Macdonald kept his health private because he never wanted the diagnosis to affect the way the audience or any of his loved ones saw him. Norm Macdonald was 61 years old.
Coming up after the break.
Rising case counts of COVID-19 at Syracuse Elementary has triggered a test-to-stay protocol. We'll have reaction from parents. Straight ahead.
As COVID-19 cases continue to spike, there's a new push in Salt Lake County to get people vaccinated. What's being done to spread the message that those impacted by the virus want you to hear?
In looking at the conditions right now, it's really hard for me not to just extend or to ask for the extension of the drought declarations.
The state of Utah's drought, and it's not looking good.
While the Utes are trying to get their swagger back, the Cougars ready for another top 25 matchup. We'll hear from both teams.
Welcome back, everyone. Tooele High School, now the latest in Utah to be required to put test-to-stay guidelines in place for all students.
The school reached the 2% threshold for positive COVID-19 cases this week. That means students will need to be tested for the virus, whether they are vaccinated or not, to stay in the classroom. The district says those choosing to opt out of being tested or those who test positive will need to quarantine for 10 calendar days before returning to school. The Tooele County Health Department will start these protocols at the high school Thursday.
Meantime, Syracuse Elementary School in the Davis School District currently has the most COVID-19 cases with 55 positive test results. Syracuse began test-to-stay protocols today.
Fox 13's Spencer Joseph reports from the school tonight where students who tested negative are already back in class.
The sounds of kids playing at recess have already returned to Syracuse Elementary after a morning of testing for COVID-19.
I think there's feelings all across the board.
This is Lindsay Harris, and she has not one.
I was helping my first grader.
Not two.
My second grader that was a little bit nervous.
But three kids.
My sixth grader, it was totally smooth sailing. She was ready for this.
Who were tested this morning.
They had everything organized really well. The nurses that were testing were so great with the kids, made them feel really comfortable.
While a situation like this is never ideal, she praised the school, the district, and the health department for running so smoothly.
I really appreciate that the district as well as the local staff are doing everything that they can.
Despite this being the first of the school year, for Harris, she says after over a year of the pandemic, she now knows the drill.
I had a pretty good idea of once it gets to a certain number of cases, how quickly it rises from there. When we're dealing with a pandemic, especially when it's a little bit different than anything we've seen historically, there's always going to be a learning curve.
While students continue to be tested, for Harris and her family, they say protocols like this one will continue to be a good thing and prevent further spread of the virus.
Our family's pretty cautious. We all have to do things we don't like very much. But when we have the chance to help others, we should do everything we can.
So while the situation here at Syracuse Elementary School has been dealt with, the fear is that other nearby schools and other schools across the state as well could soon reach that threshold for a test to stay protocol. Of course, we'll keep you up to date with the rising case counts in Utah schools on fox13now.com. Spencer Dose of Fox 13 News, Utah.
Antelope Elementary in Clearfield is nearing the threshold, but administrators tell us the number might drop and they haven't yet started Test to Stay. Nearby Syracuse High School also has 30 positive cases, nearing their threshold of 43. Cedar Valley High School in the Alpine District now has 30 cases, close to their threshold of 39. And 5 more Davis County schools: Bluff Ridge Elementary, West Point Junior High, West Point School, Layton High School, and Clearfield High also have more than 20 reported cases.
And new today, the Utah Department of Health has added a color coding system to their school data. Schools with confirmed COVID-19 cases will be shown in red, yellow, and green, depending on how many students have tested positive for COVID. The ones highlighted in red are schools that meet or exceed the Test to Stay threshold. As you can see here on this chart, the Tooele High School is not shown in red right now. This is likely due to a delay in reporting from the local health department. Well, today, Utah saw another 1,200 new cases of COVID-19, which is well below the 7-day average of 1,600 new daily cases. 4 more women and 9 more men have died from the virus. One of those women was younger than 25 years old. More than 6,000 doses of the vaccine were administered in Utah in just the past 24 hours. That means more than 1,629,000 Utahns are fully vaccinated.
The Salt Lake County Health Department has launched a new public awareness campaign pleading with people to get vaccinated against COVID-19.
Fox 13's Haley Higgins shows us how the county hopes a personal touch will help convince the holdouts.
A little more than half of Salt Lake County's population is fully vaccinated. And with hospitals overwhelmed and the Delta variant surging, health experts hope showing the benefits of the vaccine will increase those rates.
Shelley Wansbauer hopes her COVID-19 story will save her husband's life.
Last December, my husband was diagnosed with leukemia, and that changed our world.
He's in the hospital recovering from a bone marrow transplant and doesn't have a single white blood cell to fight infection.
That means he cannot fight this off, and there just really is no medicine or artificial help that he can receive to overcome this loss that he has in his own immune system. And wearing masks and getting vaccinated as a community is the only thing that is going to really keep him safe.
The high school biology teacher is sharing her story in a new media campaign by Salt Lake County.
We really felt that some of the real-world stories of COVID's impact were important stories to tell.
The ads will highlight personal stories from about a dozen healthcare workers, community activists, COVID long haulers, and grieving families, urging holdouts to get the COVID-19 vaccine.
The politics associated with this pandemic have obscured the scientific facts and the human impact that COVID has had on our families, our friends, and our communities.
Despite the free cost and vaccine availability, the Delta variant is raging. Hospital ICUs operating above capacity deeply concerns Mayor Jenny Wilson.
We just don't know what's around the corner.
The ads will soon be seen on billboards, buses, online, and on TV. In studio, Haley Higgins, Fox 13 News, Utah.
In Salt Lake County this year, 85% of people who died from COVID-19 were not vaccinated. Intermountain Healthcare's move to postpone non-emergency surgeries due to the rise in COVID-19 cases is now impacting many families, including the Kelly family in Cache County.
Late last year, Paul Kelly found out his kidneys were only functioning at 5% and he would need a kidney transplant. But he found a match for a potential donor late last month. However, Kelly was told he would not be eligible for surgery until the COVID numbers were down. The Kellys blamed those who are not vaccinated.
So to be so close and then have it put on pause for something like this is really hard to stomach. I was so angry. It's just really especially hard knowing that, you know, this surgery isn't just a surgery that can be put on hold. It's very urgent and we don't know how much time we have, and there's really no way of knowing.
While Intermountain Healthcare could not speak to this specific situation, they do say it is considering surgeries on a case-by-case basis.
Still to come, construction work on Salt Lake City's foothills now being put on hold. We'll explain the mayor's reasons why the work to improve the trails there is postponed.
Plus, nearly $2 million are available to help youth affiliated with Utah's foster care system, how it can be used to improve their lives, and when they need to get a hold of it.
Glad you're with us tonight, everyone. In Salt Lake County, Welcoming Week is officially underway now. It's an annual celebration that brings together people and local events that celebrate the contributions of immigrants and refugees. Salt Lake County was actually the first county to be certified in the entire nation back in 2018 through the national organization called Welcoming America.
That's who we are here. You know, we open up our homes, we open up our churches, we open up our community, we support, we as a county support, we invest.
Welcoming Week continues tomorrow with a welcome walk from 6 to 8 p.m. at Liberty Park. To find a list of dates and events, we can link you over off of our website. Go to fox13now.com.
If you're happy living here in Utah, you're not alone. A new survey by WalletHub finds that Utah is the happiest state in America. Utah landed in the #1 spot based on work hours, volunteer rate, sports participation, and the lowest divorce rate. Utah also was ranked 9th in emotional well-being. Overall, Utah topped Minnesota, Hawaii, California, and North Dakota in the top 5. West Virginia is considered the least happiest state in the U.S.
You're just so cheerful tonight, Bob, aren't you?
Right.
Happy all around. Here's some more good news. We are seeing small improvements in Utah's drought, but is it enough? Still ahead, what Governor Spencer Cox now wants to do.
Up in sports, while the Utes are looking to get their swagger back, the Cougars ready for another top 25 battle against a Pac-12 foe. And we'll tell you about Hoop Camp, an event that builds up those with special needs. And they got some help from the Utah Jazz. That's coming up in sports.
We are so glad you could join us for Fox 13 News at 9. As we said at 5 o'clock, repeating, we're inching toward fall and the temperatures are cooling down.
I thought you were going to say we're inching toward the weekend. I was like, yes.
Well, we're inching toward the weekend too. So anyway, glad you could be with us. Fox 13 meteorologist Allison Krogan will join us in just a moment with the forecast.
In the meantime, construction planned in Salt Lake City's foothills is now on hold until at least June of next year. Work has been planned to improve existing trails and possibly even make new ones. All involved say it's vitally important to get this done right because they want to keep that area special for decades. However, after consulting neighbors, groups like Save Our Canyons and also native tribal leaders, Salt Lake City Mayor Aaron Mendenhall as well says it is time to hit the pause button until they can receive more input.
We're in the best possible position to ensure that the trails and new trail work and natural resource protection is representative in a better way of the voices of our community. Our goal through the process has been to get our trail system to a sustainable place so that it can be stewarded for generations to come.
The mayor has already put a pause on some planned trail work this past spring and decided the more time is needed to evaluate and also receive input.
Right now, more than $1.8 million is up for grabs for young people who are and have been in Utah's foster care system. The Division of Child and Family Services tells Fox 13 News they've seen many young people have a tough time with the transition out of foster care, becoming homeless or incarcerated without adequate support. An administrator who helps with transitions at DCFS says the money can help with food, transportation, education, and more.
And it's very, very extensive in terms of what we can do with it. If a youth is on the streets and they need to get in, we've helped youth get into hotels so they can get them off the street and get some safety. And then we work with them to find housing that's reasonable and affordable for them.
People only have until October 1st to take advantage of this money. If you are interested in learning more, go to fox13now.com. Well, we're not out of the woods yet when it comes to Utah's drought.
Fox 13 News has learned the governor's office wants the legislature to extend the state of emergency. Fox 13's Ben Winslow has the very latest from Utah's Capitol Hill.
Not what we want to be seeing.
Utah's water managers updated a legislative committee on the drought emergency. We've seen some small improvements, but 88% of the state is in extreme or exceptional drought. The long-term forecast is for drier than average conditions this winter.
We are hopeful that we're going to get the banner year and help us get out of this drought, but we're also preparing in case that is not the case.
Utah is currently in a state of emergency for drought. The head of the Department of Natural Resources says he will ask the legislature to extend it.
In looking at the conditions right now, it's really hard for me not to just extend or to ask for the extension of the drought declaration simply because conditions merit it.
Lawmakers are exploring policy changes to respond to the drought. Some say we should prepare for more water and ensure our fair share.
Building more dams and more reservoirs is a good thing. We ought to be looking out for our grandkids and great-grandkids just like our pioneers looked out for us.
Lawmakers are also being asked to consider more conservation measures to accommodate population growth, including more secondary water metering and letting the state buy someone's water rights to allow water to flow to places like the Great Salt Lake, which is at a record low and threatens northern Utah's ecosystem.
It is a significant change, and it's a significant change in order to allow things like the Great Salt Lake and others to have the water that it needs.
One environmental group says policymakers still aren't doing enough.
If climate change is real and human beings are causing it, the Colorado River's declined 20% in the last 20 years compared to the 20th century average.
One thing that could turn it around, snow.
Every day we pray that this winter we will have snow in the mountains so that we can have the water we need for next year.
Now, when it comes to some of these policy decisions, the legislature won't be able to take them up until the 2022 session, which begins in January. On the Hill, Ben Winslow, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Well, speaking of snow in the mountains, I'm actually forecasting the chance for that in the 7-day forecast. But first, let's talk about our current conditions. 75 degrees here in Salt Lake City right now. A very comfortable evening, quite a bit cooler in Tooele right now at 59, 72 for Provo. Into southern Utah, St. George, still dealing with temperatures in the upper 80s. Quite warm for the Lake Powell area. Then once you get up towards Price, 69 degrees right now. We do have mostly clear sky here across the state. Logan down through Farmington looking really good. Salt Lake, Kearns, West Valley, Magna, Holiday down through Draper. Things look very nice for your evening, and it will be a cool start tomorrow here along the Wasatch Front. And then we have the clear sky for southern Utah right now and central Utah. Overnight temps about 50 to 60 degrees for Provo, Salt Lake, and Ogden. Temperatures in Logan in the mid 40s tomorrow morning. And then we look at our afternoon temperatures tomorrow, and it's going to be a little bit hotter than today. Salt Lake close to 90 tomorrow, upper 80s as the forecast goes. For Park City around 80, for Moab low 90s, and St. George right around 100 degrees. Futurecast will bring the chance for breezy conditions as our primary concern here across southern Utah this week. Will be some fire concerns at times. So we're going to keep things dry through most of the weekend. A few showers possible on Saturday across southern Utah. But our main next weather maker is going to be early next week. Our pattern change for a few days at least. It will bring cooler temperatures, snow mostly above about 7,500 or 8,000 feet, and then valley rainfall. Also, before that, the fire concerns that I mentioned, especially into Thursday afternoon, it's going to be warm and it's going to be breezy across southern Utah, and it's also dry out there. So we do have all those things combined, leading to some more fire concerns here across the state. St. George close to 100 degrees through Thursday. Towards the end of that 7-day forecast, that brief cool down for St. George will bring you into the upper 80s. And then for Salt Lake, it'll be a much more pronounced cool down. Take a look at that. 63 for a high Monday and Tuesday next week. Our temperatures until then mid to upper 80s. Overnight temps for the next 5 nights will be around 60 degrees. And then next week, early in the week, temperatures into the 40s, low 40s even possibly here along the Wasatch Front. So quite the cool down to start next week, but that cool down probably won't last terribly long. So we'll be back to more comfortable temperatures after that.
Well, BYU will take out a Pac-12 South opponent for the third straight week when they host Arizona State. They started with a win over Arizona, then knocked Utah out of the top 25 as they moved up to 23rd with a big win over the Utes. Next up, 19th ranked Arizona State on Saturday night.
Arizona's a good team. Utah's a good team. Being able to play that caliber of team early is great for us. We get a ton of learning, a ton of great competition, chances to improve and grow, and in moments like this, check out the film and see what you can do better to prepare for the next one. And we're excited for this challenge. ASU's, they've got a ton of talent. They play really hard, and they're a physical team. And so, we're excited to just step up to the plate for the next challenge and hopefully keep this thing rolling.
Utah will look to bounce back this week when they play San Diego State in Carson, California on Saturday. It's been a tough few days for the Utes after losing to BYU, ending their 9-game winning streak over the Cougars. Now it's about getting their swagger back for the rest of the season.
We got humbled, which I think is good. But man, you don't want that to last for more than a day. You got to get your swagger back. It's all about how you respond, especially a loss early in the season. You lose one early to your rival, and it's just devastating. But then you realize that doesn't affect a single thing in our conference play. Our goal is still to win the Pac-12 championship, go to the Rose Bowl, things like that. That's where the leadership comes in.
Hoop Camp is for all adults and children with special needs. It's come to a handful of times to Utah. This time, an NBA team was involved. Here's Fox 13's Andrea Urban with more.
Hoop Camp. Two simple words that mean a whole lot to the participants.
I think Hoop Camp stands for inclusion. It's a social event disguised with sports. It's about getting this community together, letting them make their own friends, and then us making friends with them as well.
I appreciate the health that I have while I have it, and I just always felt guilty I was born the way I was. This is a wonderful opportunity. We do great things with great people for great people.
Hoop Camp has been to Utah on several occasions, working with Utah football in the past. This time, it was the Utah Jazz who partnered with the camp, giving Donovan Mitchell shoes to the campers.
It just kind of solidifies or validates that what we're doing has value and it matters to people, and an organization like the Jazz that wants to get involved and participate in some way or another speaks volumes. We ought to have Donovan Mitchell's shoe to give out. They're all fans too, they love that stuff. The day is set up for that, to make them feel special and to serve a community that's highly underserved.
The shoes weren't the only highlight of Hoop Camp.
I like basketball, I'm gonna shoot hoops. This cookie is a basketball cookie. We have lines in it. There's an X.
Thank you so much, Max, for talking to me. I appreciate it. In Draper, Andrea Urban, Fox 13 Sports.
That'll put a smile on your face. You gotta love how happy and excited those kids were.
Oh, yeah.
Like playing basketball.
Great event. How fun for them.
And so good to see Timmy, too, our favorite
Oh, yeah.
fan.
He was the guy with the big trophy in tears. He was a little emotional.
Yeah. He's one of our
Timmy.
greatest Fox 13 fans.
Yeah.
We'll be right back.
Thanks, everyone, for being part of Fox 13 News at 9.
And stick around because right after the break is Quick Cast.